Alright, so it is, dang, I don't even know the day. April 14th, no, 15th. So I guess it was Friday the 13th and then Saturday, and today's Sunday. So it's 15th at 2:35. Still in Oroville, California, 2018. It's getting close to April, May, so I'll be taking off. Hopefully, if everything goes well. So want to make another video, so I just started painting, doing my art stuff still, trying to get it done. I'm already gonna have to start closing it up and focus on packing and moving. So just went to Starbucks and got a Starbucks. I watched some UFC yesterday. It was good. Okay, so what I wanted to talk about on this vlog, whatever, is the continuation of the last one, just to get it done, because it's kind of not my stuff, but it's interesting. Just the environment that I'm in. Okay, so let's see. So German, oh yeah, and then I guess Trump just started war with Syria, or started bombing them again. Anyway, so you know, there's all kinds of stuff happening in general in the world. So this is just like part of it. You know, my drama is like really nothing compared to what's really going on, but it's kind of all our lives are part of it. Anyway, so let's go back to the past. 2012 stuff, Germany. So I don't know if people know about this. I didn't know about this stuff. Like, this is stuff that that was brought into my world via the internet, and then once you start like seeing it, and then, or once you like learn it or learn about some of this stuff, and it's like then you start seeing it everywhere. It sounds weird, but it's like, that's why I'm gonna explain it. See, like even the Starbucks symbol, what does it mean? What does it mean? So a lot of this stuff is from, you know, I'm an artist, so the thing is that I work with visuals, like things with ideas and folklore and meaning and metaphors and all that stuff. So like, to me, that's like interesting, you know, and it's part of my, what's weird is that people started taking my stuff and putting it into their metaphors, which has been weird to me. Like, take for instance, like the yellow girl, somebody was calling it a goddess or something, and I was like, it's not a goddess, it's actually like just you know, I paint people with colors for emotional purposes, but not really. Like, yellow means one thing to me, and it means something to somebody else, and it can mean something to somebody else. Man, it's fucking kind of hot here. It's hella windy, so I've closed the windows, but I have this damn jacket on, and it's, I don't feel like taking it off right now. So let me open a window. Yeah, it happens. It's like, there's a hell lot of people. There's a hell lot of people here, and yeah, it's hella windy. For a hella windy day at the boat launch pad or whatever. It's like, there's this dude over here, and then these people over there. So I'm in Orville, right? So I don't know if things are getting. Anyway, let's go back to symbols. So symbols. What else? Man, my arms getting tired. Okay, so. Oh yeah. So Germany, Mayan, Aztec. So the internet, and like I was saying, the guy, people on my Facebook, everybody was sharing stuff. It was a time of ancient aliens, and that was it was a hysteria, I would say. So people were still talking about aliens. The subject hasn't left. It's still in Hollywood and everything. It probably never left, but in my generation, it's never been more prevalent in people's lives, like where they really believe it, or not just believe it, but actually are worried about it. So World War II. So I started learning as an artist. It was interesting. Oh yeah, I was talking about that. So that metaphor, I was like, okay, that's it's not a goddess. It's just like nature to me. Nature, yellow. Yellow was the color I started liking after I met a girl. After I met Miros, and then during that time I was like changing my favorite colors. I was painting a lot, so like I was around 26, 27. I don't know. It just ended up being like the happy color. I wanted it to be happy. So instead of like painting sad stuff or whatever, I just was trying to paint happy stuff, nature stuff. And then I met a girl that I fell in love with or whatever. And that was it. So that's what the meaning of that nature lady. And the nature lady is a nature lady. I mean, Mother Earth kind of stuff. So I think I already explained all that. So that's not what I'm trying to talk about. What I'm talking about is mythology. So let's go into mythology. Oh man. Okay. Yeah. You know what? Let me go through this. Let me get my brain going. So there was another one with the kid with the big eyeball. So the blue kid with the big eyeball. So this guy, I think I already talked about that too, but maybe I didn't. So this guy, Matt Glaze, he was my first drummer in high school, my band, in one of my bands. And he wanted me to paint his friend for his band that had a big eyeball. So I don't know what that was all about, but I did. They didn't use it for the album cover. What was their band's name? It was like, had something to even do with aliens. Martian, something Martian. This was like in 2009, like 1998. I was going to Butte in 1999, maybe. No. Yeah, it was around there. When Isaiah was born. Because we were living at the apartments and he kind of randomly dropped by. We hadn't really seen each other talk for a while. So he was like, hey, can you paint? He was working at some, in Marysville, doing computer logistics or whatever for, I don't know, he ended up being a computer guy. So for the city of Oroville or Marysville or something. And he was with this brown girl. He had a kid. He was still playing. He started playing with his old band again, Martian Manhunters, or what the fuck? I can't remember. Martian Puppets or something. So he was a drummer. He was like their fill-in drummer, their second drummer or something. I don't know. but I had met the guys, the singer guys too, and then they were alright. They were kind of like different. They were more chill. Um, but I don't know. So anyways, they didn't use the art. I don't even know if I got paid. I don't even know if they paid me. So I ended up using it for my stuff as far as my art. I kind of do that, like if a client doesn't use it. Some clients, people come up, want me to think of something, and if it doesn't like fit in with their product or their, their album cover or whatever, it's still my work. So I'm like I just recently did I did that with the Nezzy Hills. I did that in a few projects where, like, if, I don't, I'll use it anyway. It's still part of my work. Okay, so that's where the Blue Kid came from. I've tried to make a story where some kid with the acoustic guitar, I don't even know, it was just like it's supposed to be for, I don't know what it was. And then he's a street kid, and then he living in kind of like a city, and then ended up like either stabbing somebody or finding somebody with a knife. I'm pretty sure, to me, it was finding somebody with a knife, like finding somebody stabbed already, and then he has the knife in his hand, and the cops see him, and then so he gets busted, and he ends up in jail forever, for like till he's old. Then he gets out of jail, and then he goes to like a what do you call that? Strip joint. So he like grows his hair out. Has one of them is like where he's crying half his face. It's kind of like Two-Face. He looks like Two-Face, but the guy, he gave me a picture. It was a white dude that like had, I don't know what it was, but one of his eyes was bigger than me. Like he would kind of look like that. So I guess I don't know if it's a disease or a condition or something, but so, and then he ends up oh yeah, and then I didn't paint it. I painted one, but the guy, he kept it. It's like I don't think I ever finished it though, but I don't know what it was. I forget what it was. If it was him as an adult or him as a kid. I think it might have been a reinterpretation of him as a kid. Oh yeah, one of them was when this lady bought it in Chico when I was selling artwork at the farmer's market, and I saw people really kind of stuck with this story or this character and liked it, or not liked it, but like whatever, used it as a metaphor for me, I think. So the guy was in a box, right? And there's in the alley, and there's like a car, a little toy car, and then there's like a little, I don't know if it was a match book, and then can of Coke maybe, and then some broken boards, and then metal bars in the back, you know, concrete, brick walls. So most of it was like blue and orange, kind of yellowish maybe, blue and orange. So that is the idea of that character. So I don't know. So you can pull some of the metaphors, the whole Coke thing, and the whole, what else? Boards and the car. So I don't know. These, to me, it was the matchbook. I don't know. People, I don't know. It's kind of weird, but yeah. So that was that. And then, so the end of the story was supposed to be when he turns into the band. The guys in the band, they're all dressed in suits and they're gangsters. He ends up being a gangster. So that was the crescendo of that little storyline, little art stuff. So that would have been like the cover or something, you know. So we didn't get there, and that was it. So that was Matt Glaze and his little contribution to my art. And what else? So yeah, I mean, so let's keep going. It's 15 minutes. Let's see if I can get through this other part. So this part is, oh yeah, the Germany stuff. So what's interesting with that, let's go to history, through history. Well, okay, yeah, let's go through that. So Germany, they, you know, were into the occult. So as far as I know, and as far as History Channel tells me, they used it in their symbols. I don't know which symbols exactly. The swastika is the opposite of the Indian symbol. I think it was Indian symbol, Buddhist symbol. I don't know, Chinese symbol, where it was supposed to mean peace. So they turned it the opposite, and whatever that means. And then, so that was kind of a big deal. I mean, in their flag, that's interesting. So they were enemies. They wanted to take over stuff, and they wanted to take over England, you know. And if you look at England, like, that's kind of weird. I mean, I don't know if it's their flag, but they have like a eagle and a lion, like, kind of standing on their feet. I don't know. I haven't really looked at that flag too much, but just in general, that's kind of weird, you know, like Griffin kind of stuff. So when I was doing the mural 2000, like the one at the Chico State Cross-Cultural Leadership Center, I learned a lot as far as like Chinese mythology and like some of those symbols and stuff. But before that, it all kind of went together, like 2009, 2010, 2011. So when I was doing the first mural, one of the first murals was that one, anyway, that's it. So I'll talk about that. I already talked about that if you look at my mural blogs. So the one with, okay, so Germany, they kind of put it in the Captain America movie where, you know, they're kind of going for the, but they didn't do it justice, like, if you research it. So some, kind of the Native American stuff, too, kind of goes to the maiden. So he was looking for, everybody was looking, like, the Indiana Jones thing. So everyone's looking for the covenant or something like that, you know. And so basically, like, power, you know, like, and maybe like to live forever, fountain of youth, the Garden of Eden, all that stuff, Noah's Ark. So all these cultures are looking for this stuff, you know, like remnants of the Bible or stuff in Old Testament, like. So Germany was doing that as well. And if you learn about Hitler, like, he was kind of like a soldier, artist dude that was a messenger. He would say he would give order. He would know orders and then go to the front line or whatever and give it to him. I guess he got injured, and then he wrote a book or something, and then he ended up becoming political, and then he ended up starting a group, being part of this already political group. Then they voted, and then they didn't get in, and so he ended up like becoming Hitler. I don't know how exactly all that happened, but, you know, ended up being the guy, and ended up doing what he did. But I think what he was trying to do was, like, I mean, he was killing people, so, like, was going for it, and like all the white people at the time were warring with each other to see who's the boss, and I guess Germany figured they were the boss, and they wanted to be the boss, so they were like, Britain ended up being, I guess, one of their main adversaries, and Russia, you know, comes after all this time. I guess Russia ended up being a superpower because they were a bunch of farmers and like village people, and then they pulled together through Stalin or something, or through one of those guys, and kind of like what China did, where they just like were just a vast nation, that a bunch of people everywhere, and then they ended up becoming a one government and kicking their people's ass to like make sure that to consolidate their own world power nation and stuff. So England really did a lot of shit to the world. Like they made everybody kind of do that, like kind of become a government and, you know, create weapons of mass destruction. So everybody kind of followed that route and started doing it. So Russia ended up becoming Germany's one of their main adversaries, but Britain was really the ones I think that Germany wanted to get, because they were ruling, you know, they were taking shit over. Because this is why I believe it, because they were bombing the shit out of you know, if you look at the history books, like the airplane fights with each other, and then the Navy fights, and then they were bombing the shit out of London, the London bridges falling down stuff. So and then England kept rebuilding as a mental warfare, where they're like, no matter what you do, we're gonna just keep rebuilding. So a lot of stuff happened. But the Germans were like, you know, they supposedly created meth, where they were giving their soldiers, and their soldiers started going crazy, whatever. So the occult stuff, like, some of that stuff comes from, like, supposedly they were like, we can use occult stuff, but nobody else can. So you got, like, the Catholic Church and, like, entities like that, you know, the goat head and seances and, you know, pentagram stuff, and I don't know, I really don't know exactly. All I know is through the movies. Like, I've never seen anything or talked to anybody that knows about that stuff, so I'm just going off of what I've seen on TV, just, you know, through these history channel stuff and whatever. So but so before I was leaving in 2015 to go to the Bay Area, like, all this stuff was escalating, and, you know, people were trying to so the Mayan thing too, the Native American thing, 2012, there was like some of the folklore in that was like Hitler was looking for what was it? He was looking for something. El Dorado, I don't know what that means. But basically, he was trying to prove that the white race was a superior, and he was going through his old symbols, and they had a whole building and all that stuff that they would, like astrology stuff, that they would, you know, use, advisors and stuff. Like, supposedly, this is all hearsay stuff. Like, Germany lost the war, so who knows what. But some of the interesting stuff was the stuff about America and England and stuff like that. Like the San Francisco, kind of like, see all these numbers, something about 11. I don't know exactly what 11 means. But they got the baker's dozen, which is 13. So 13 is a turtle's back. So all the stuff that was like Native American is the bad stuff for the white folks. So the white folks are scared of the Native American stuff, or they used it as the opposite or whatever. So 13 is a number Friday the 13th, you know, whatever. So like, I don't know what that means, but I don't know. So, but it's natural, it's nature. So that's like actually a turtle, which the Native Americans believe was the beginning of the earth. You know, they floated, or something happened and it floated, kind of like an island, you would say. So it has meaning to the brown people. Like the owl's kind of like a bad symbol for the brown people, but the white folks see the owl is, in the folklore, it's kind of a good symbol, you know. Gives themselves babies or something, like they're pregnant or somebody. I don't know. I don't know. I forgot exactly all the. There's so much of it. Like every animal has different meaning in all the different cultures. So, so I don't know what he was looking for, but he was looking for something. I don't know if it was gold or everlasting life or all this stuff, but he was looking, or the covenant of God or whatever, I don't know. But he supposedly didn't die, and he went to South America. So during this time, he was looking throughout like the deserts of over there in England, trying to find like proof that the Aryan race was God's people or something, or the main people or something. So he didn't find it, and you know, they say he exhausted a lot of time and energy and money and all this stuff to, you know, find all this stuff. So some of the things that was interesting that, you know, that's in popular culture right now, it was like the X-Men. So like, I don't even know if it was called something similar, but they were looking for so they had the belief that these people would have superpowers at the end, right? Superpowers, kind of like mutants, and that's what. So the Native American people had their own gifts, you know, during this time, you know, like the tracking and all this stuff that like the white people didn't understand and were fearful of. And I think that, you know, the voodoo stuff, the stuff from Africa, all this voodoo stuff, like, so they were trying to reemerge this because they believed like that the elite was using it for their own self, but they were like not let the common people use it. So like when the English people or Scottish people, I don't know, they started killing all those like wars, the holy wars and stuff, like all the Renaissance, the Dark Ages, like they started like killing the Druids. So those like in the Catholic Church and all this. So all this stuff started, you know, was part of it. But they say the elite kept dark, you know, the occult rituals, and so this is stuff like of the mind and of the spirit and all the spirit world stuff. So they were, you know, and then you go to the Native American stuff, and they're like, you know, they're using peyote, and they're like, you know, like having vision quests and all this stuff, like talking about other worlds, which was interesting because like they had vision quests that they were able to like have great knowledge of the stars or of this universe, you know, the galaxy and all that stuff. So there was like a lot of knowledge in that, as far as, and people didn't understand it, kind of like the pyramid stuff. So like they don't understand how they can do all that stuff when they have the equipment to look at it from space and like be like and see that how perfect they were made, and coordinates to the sky, you know, like miles and hundreds of miles away, and they were like perfectly lined up, and to make a triangle or square or something, whatever, you know, perfect lines. So, or perfect circle, you know, kind of like the tool stuff. So the tools, so it was like a whole cultural thing where everyone was really trying to figure all this stuff out. And there's people who probably know a lot more than I do, of course, because there are people that actually study this, and this is stuff that I was just like randomly like, what is that? What is that? So this one guy on YouTube, he was a city builder or something. He was like, and this was interesting to me, because this is where I was like, whoa, what does this mean? Like, so this guy was that was his whole thing. He would like go through city plans and see, I don't know, make new ones, or like look at the old ones, or I don't know. But he started saying his knowledge, and that's what the trippy thing with YouTube and the internet is that somebody that specializes in something could put all their ideas there, and then you can get somebody else and start comparing notes and start seeing like, whoa, this stuff, what's real and what's not in our. So this guy was like talking about ancient numbers, right? So numbers is supposedly something that is important. So, which of course it is, it's math, like Einstein would say it's the biggie, like the structure of the universe. And so numbers is important, obviously. It's like a language of connecting dots or whatever, of patterns, all that stuff. So he was talking about how whole cities were made based upon occult symbols like the Pentagon. So you got the Pentagon, which is like 5-sided thing, but it's like adjacent to Earth, it's like perfect to this symbol, and the whole land that it's on, or the whole like whatever, whole little lawn stuff, or everything's like has things where it's a pentagram or something, because supposedly like the pentagram, like 5 sides, so there was. And then what's interesting is that around the world, that's where these pyramids and stuff come in, where around the world is where these things are placed, these symbols are placed, like these cities that are created to make a symbol. And San Francisco ends up being one, New York ends up being one, London ends up being one. So all these like really important places in our culture, in our time, are places that are symbols that are made from the stars, like their coordinates are placed. So like, what is that called? Stonehenge. So Stonehenge, they made like where the sun rises all perfect, and they have like these circle thing, and the sun rises perfectly to fit in through some hole that like this, hits one place. Or so the Scottish people, they would say that when death would come, they would have like burial grounds, and then so the sun would hit at a certain time. So this has to do with like the changing of the seasons and stuff, like which is Christmas and Halloween and Easter, and so all this, like, what do they call that? Anyway, so so basically, like, humans used to do this, and then they turned it into the Christian holidays, where they, kind of Christ's birth, rebirth is Easter. So to appease the people and the time that's changing the seasons, they just fit in Christian holidays with from the old ancient days that people used to do their harvesting and all, changing the seasons, whatever, have their festivals. So it's not something that's new or something that's just like, a generation here or one person there, or a culture here or a culture there. It actually has to do with like ancient, like throughout time, people have been using this stuff and putting meaning to this. So, creating whole civilizations on it. So the idea was the Western civilization, the white folk, they've been building their cities. England has been building their cities, and so I think like Hitler was trying to bomb. So basically, they're like power, like how they believe the pyramids were places where energy would come through, because supposedly like your pineal gland, your third eye or whatever, which is ancient, kind of like from Egypt and stuff like that. So like a lot of hieroglyphics and all this stuff. So yoga, all that stuff. So ancient civilizations saw this stuff as science, as true. So we're the ones that are the ones that don't believe it or whatever, like acupuncture, kind of like it doesn't make sense, but yet it works. So something with the pineal gland. So they have the pyramids where they're the same structure as like some kind of like in our brain it goes and something. So there's like, you can look all this stuff up. I don't know, I haven't, like I said, I learned about it, but I didn't study it. Like it's not something that was like, it was just like reading articles and be like, whoa, what's it, and seeing it here and there. The power of the internet, So that was interesting. And then what else was there? There was some other stuff. Man, I just saw a bunch of like, there's this cop right there, but there was like, when I drove out of my mom's place, there was like 3 of them, and so I don't know if they were trying to like bust some people or whatever, but so it's pretty funny to, I mean, this is a boat dock, so and I guess it's Sunday. I don't know why people are out. It's like hella cold and windy. So let's go, keep going. So it's 37. I'm gonna do 5 more minutes. Okay, so what else? So Germany. Oh yeah. So these cities, this guy was like talking, and so like the London and the so all these numbers, like specific numbers, like the Colosseum, like stuff in Greek and Roman culture, like what was it? It was something that all fit. It was like all like, whoa, that's weird, like that is weird, like perfect, like these perfect numbers that were like scientific numbers, and they were using them in construction, and it makes sense, just because like, of course, if it works, it works, like if your building's gonna have a stronger structure, like what is a square, what is a circle, what is a triangle, pentagon, and then so it doesn't have to be like all esoteric, but at the same time it happens to be. Humans are weird like that anyways. We like hella, if somebody says Friday the 13th is a bad luck day, we're all gonna be like, oh, maybe it is, or maybe don't walk under a ladder. I do it. So, I mean, I don't do it all, but like I do second guess myself if I'm walking by a ladder. I'm like, oh, I don't know, should I walk under that ladder or not? So most of the time I don't walk under the ladder, but there's been a couple times I did, and I'm like, like breaking a mirror and all. So there's like a lot of we're very superstitious, and probably rightfully so. Who knows? Like, I mean, people believe God, the Christian God, is a thing humans made up, and like all this stuff. Some of it's science, some of it is folklore. So who knows? Like, that's this whole human experience, the whole hive, the whole hive of humanity. We have our different species, but we're all human. We're all part of the earth and part of. So I'm like down with the Native American stuff. I don't know a lot about it, and I don't study it. So some of the stuff that I hear, I'm like, I don't know if it contradicts what I learned growing up. But some of the stuff I learned was interesting, and just as interesting as anything else. So it was like, so the Rainbow Tribe is like, there's this buffalo woman. This is stuff I learned when I was painting the mural. So the buffalo lady, woman, tobacco, something with tobacco, and then it says remember tobacco or something. I don't know what that means. And then she goes through this hills. So she goes to some dude, and then the guy's like, hey, what's up, baby? And so she gets mad at him or something, and so he doesn't get the blessings he's supposed to get. But she said, I'll come back, or I'll be back, or something. And so she like takes off and gives him some tobacco or something, and says, use this to carry on. And so he goes, this is hearsay stuff, I don't know exactly if I'm saying it right, I haven't even read it forever. So goes over this hill. So the buffalo lady goes over this hill, and then she's black buffalo, and then she goes again, and she's a white buffalo, and then she goes again, and then off to the horizon. So I don't know what that means. That could be different races, I believe. Like, I'm believing in the part where it's like seasons and things change, and like I listen to this dude Pastor Murray on TV, and he's talking about the Earth ages, you know, like where there's been three different Earth ages or whatever, and it kind of makes sense to me where it's like, oh, you know, like the dinosaurs, and then things regurgitate, and then there's the humans, and then things, you know, regurgitate again, and so the Earth's not going to end, but our cycles, there's cycles in this stuff. So the Mayans, how the Mayans were like disappeared or whatever, or not disappeared, but like their culture. So it's like how some like history, pretty much kind of like some things are the main things in that time frame, and then things change. And so I don't know. I mean, it's just whatever. It's just interesting. It's like I see seasons, so everything's kind of repeats. Everything's like a clock, big clock. So so losing our culture and history has been very weird, because all these things are hearsay. So it's not even like something that that we get to understand, like all the Mayan and the Aztec stuff. Like we only get to hear it from white folks telling us what it means. You know, I'm speaking English. You know, so it's like that's kind of where I'm at, and I'm mixed blood, so it's not even like that's probably the way it should be. The Rainbow Tribe. So the Rainbow Tribe is supposedly towards when the white man fucks everything up. Our humans, you know, whatever. It's not even. I'm totally not trying to blame white folks. Like, I'm part white. I have Spanish in me, so it's like whatever you call it. The tribes are different. So I don't know exactly what it all means, but this is just stuff that all of us, all humans, are like part of the whole. I mean, World War II is almost based on this stuff. Like cities are based on this stuff. Like cultures are like whole ideas. Like if you could think like the Christian religion, like how much that has affected American culture. Like that's what it means when I'm talking about this stuff. It's like, wow, you know, like whole cult, like this is not stuff that I'm just dreaming of and thinking of and like, oh, that's interesting. Stuff that like whole hundreds of years have been built on. So to me, it's just unraveling, and it's not even me. It's like my whole culture. This is kind of where I'm trying to like break it down so that you guys can understand like the time frame that I was in during this time, and what was, and still today. Like, so the Freemasons, I mean, you got the money, and you got the pyramid, and you got the, you know, Illuminati symbol thing, where on the dollar bill it has like pulling out. This is where it gets like, you know what, people could say I'm crazy, or people, you know, these people, but it's like, dude, it's on your dollar bill. Like, I don't know what it means. I didn't do it. I didn't create it. Like, I'm just living here. But as an artist, I'm using it because it's like, wow, what does it mean? You know, like, it's interesting to me, and I'm not alone like everyone else. So you got that guy right there, or whatever, and you can look whole. The internet was all about it, like during this time, and I was like, whoa, what does it mean? So the eyeball, the pineal gland. That's the pineal gland, the all-seeing eye. I don't know what it means. So you got the Lord of the Rings stuff. Right. So I'm not alone. You guys can't think I'm just hella crazy making shit up. Like, this is shit that's, and might have nothing to do with, actually does, there's no way that it doesn't have something to do with my time during that time. It affected stuff. So it's weird because a lot of my friends were like, hey, I'm going to church now. They're like, my white friends were like, so people were really like witch hunting. That's what it was. Witch hunting. And they thought I was a witch. And so they were hunting me. So they went through my background and tried to make all this shit, like some crazy shit, which is lasting till today. So I have to bring it up because these guys are like, I refuse to, you know. I mean, you got the, you know, white folk, the Nazi people, whatever. Like, people would come up to me when I was like fucking painting murals and shit, and like these homeless white folk would be like, "We work in numbers. You know, we're all about numbers." And because I was painting murals and, you know, doing some Aztec, Mayan, fucking Egyptian shit, you know, painting. Like the guy from Cafe Culture, when I was doing the mural, the guy was like, "Hey, do this," and I was like, "All right, cool. I'll paint all this," you know. So I gave him the sketch, but it was kind of just like the Sphinx. Like, I don't know what the fuck that was, but I painted it because it's a national monument. Like, and then the fucking Aztec calendar. That's how, like, that's what we use as Chicanos. Like, that was fucking one of our main things. We don't know what it means, but we use it. Like, what does it mean? And then, you know, like the what do you call it? Stonehenge. Like, what does it mean? I was just trying to represent different cultures and their ancient cultures that are lost, or all the ancient civilizations. So, but other people were seeing it as like, oh, you know, trying to whatever. I don't know what they were thinking, but they came at me like I was a witch. But the other people were all witches. Like, they were doing like actual doing shit. Like, I was just painting shit that was history and drawing Aztec stuff. Like, I was like, not Aztec stuff, but I was drawing, like, my story, The Poet King, has to do with like the hummingbird and Native American stuff. So like the Native American stuff I was trying to learn and pull from that. And other people were asking me to do murals about it. So they were like wondering where it's coming from. So, and I do believe in, like, you know, dreams and like ancient knowledge or whatever, you know. Like, I read a lot of the Bible, so it's, I mean, if you read the Bible, like, they talk about like people being able to interpret dreams, or, you know, having meaning on earth, like all this stuff. So it's like, it's not something that I don't believe, it's something that I do, but where it fits in context and all this stuff was where things were getting crazy. And I wasn't like, and I was questioning my own religion. I was questioning that during that time. So who knows, like, what it all means together. But Bible says, you know, seek knowledge and wisdom, is used to seek gold and silver. It says a lot of other stuff, but that was like one of the things where I know, you know, God, the Creator, is not going to punish me for questioning. You know, they do talk about, you know, if you have faith or not, but it's not about, next, learning about stuff is, it's like being afraid of science. Like, how are you going to be afraid of science? Like, some people that only believe in the Bible and God of the Bible, and like, basically that's all they're scared of. Like, they're afraid of, they challenge evolution, where it's like, oh, I can't, you know, like, so it's like only one side. You can only be on one side. Either you're Christian or you believe in evolution. So people take that stance, and I'm just like, man, you know, like, you gotta use the knowledge that you're given, the information that you're given, and make a decision, you know. So So that's where I come from. That's where I'm coming from as far as all this ideas and knowledge. Like, do I believe Hitler, or do I believe American ideas of what happened during World War II? Obviously, I'm born and raised in America, so everything I've learned was that Hitler did all this bad shit. But really, like, they were warring with each other. Like it wasn't even America; it was England, and so the European War was something that is interesting to me. I don't believe Hitler was the only bad guy, or the only guy that was like doing the shit that they say he was doing. I believe all the European groups were doing that, as far as the main powers. So yeah, I believe that people were using the symbology and the idea of, and the Chinese too. Like, you got the Chinese where they still have their culture. They still have like their idea of their own point of view of their culture, of how they see these different seasons and metaphors. So they have like I don't know too much about their culture, but what I did learn was like the four brothers and the sister, like, so. And so like the symbol, like the dragon, to them is they're the dragon, like the emperor ends up being the dragon or something. And then they have the phoenix. So the phoenix is like the female counterpart, and so this queen ended up being the phoenix, and the dragon and the phoenix ended up being buddies, or together. And then they have the white tiger. So these are all like, and then they have the white tiger and then the black turtle. So these four things were represented the four races, and represented the four seasons, and like a clock it turns. So I believe, so I don't know what that means, but like you got like the Native American symbol where it's like four colors, and so the white tiger, the white folks use that as their symbol. Like the Aryan people, they're like, hey, we're the white tiger. And then I don't know who else, and like I said, the Chinese people will use the dragon thing. And then the black turtle, I don't know, you could say that's African, black, I don't know. And then the phoenix, you always use bird stuff over in the west, and the Native American people stuff. So it's almost going to be an hour, so I better cut this off so I can just post it in one. So that's where that's, I don't know, I mean, take it for what it is. I might make another one about this, but I'm not finished talking about like what it means to me. So that's kind of what it means to me. I don't know everything, but this is what everyone was tripping on. Okay.